Haha.
Hi, beautiful people. Ash, hello. Hi, welcome in, everybody. My name's Krista, aka Midnight, aka Neon, aka that bitch, and this is Midnight Vibe Radio. I'm really excited. This is our first episode, and I have a very special guest here today. But Midnight Vibe Radio, in case you're new here, is a totally live stream podcast all about mental health, navigating the world, and those things that keep you up at night. So, little disclaimer, don't forget I'm not a qualified medical professional. I have no clue what I'm doing, and this is not a substitute for professional mental health care. So, with all that out of the way, welcome in Jenny. Why don't you give us a little introduction?
Hi, I'm Jenny, or JennyKikiLvl24, but almost nobody calls me by the full name. I'm a Twitch streamer. I do variety streaming, but typically I do like cozy games and Toontown, healing my inner child.
I love that. I didn't realize that's what I was doing, playing so much Animal Crossing.
Right? That's Toontown is that for me. Like, I just can't let go of it. It's the nostalgia of it.
Oh, okay, so I'm just gonna say it because then I feel like if I say it, I won't be that way. I'm so nervous. This is the first time I've ever been nervous doing a live stream because I'm trying something new, and yeah, so I feel like just saying it out loud will make it go away. All right, I think I'm cured actually. Okay, so we have a really interesting topic today, and I'm so happy we get to do this like for the first episode. It's something really close to me. So, unprepared parents and childhood trauma. Jenny really brought up a good point. She was just like, my parents never intentionally caused me trauma. They were just young and they made dumb choices. So I want to talk about that a little bit. So let's start. How old were your parents when they had you?
So my mom was 17 and my dad was 19 when they finally gave birth.
Oh my gosh. What were they doing?
Young. So my mom was trying to get out of my nanny's house because my nanny was an alcoholic. So my mom was like, I need to get out. So she convinced my dad to get her pregnant. And
what? That was the exit plan?
That was the exit plan.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh, I've never been so happy to not have children. I'm sorry. Anyway. Okay, wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
so like I'm 26. My mom's turning 44 this year.
Holy crap.
Like next month she turns 44.
What is it like having such a young parent?
It's kind of crazy, especially because like when I look at my husband, his parents were like 60s.
Yeah.
So, like, the difference is kind of big.
It's huge. Like, that's how my parents are. They're like in their mid 60s. And then
Yeah.
I've
But, like,
seen
my
people
whole
that are
family is
older.
young, so
Really?
yeah. So, like, my grandmother, when she passed away last year, she was in her 60s. She was, like, 61 or 62. And
Wow.
then my great-grandmother passed away when I was 12, and she was 72 when she passed away. So, like, right now, she would be, like, early actually, like, late 80s if she was still alive.
Oh my god. I really hope I don't
That's
live
my
that long.
great-grandma.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Okay. So your parent having a kid was an exit plan. I'm still emotionally processing that. Um so were they like working? Were they in school? Like how did that
So, my mom dropped out of school, and my dad had already dropped out of high school
Mhm.
before, my mom got pregnant with me, and when I was growing up, my mom worked most when I was, like, really little, when they were still together, but my dad we lived in Las Vegas, he was trying to be a magician,
A
so he
magician.
kinda
Okay.
worked, but also kinda didn't, like, he worked at, casinos, but it was, like, on and off. Oh, it was great having magician as a dad, because he did all of the tricks, or, like, we always had, like he did balloon stuff when we were kids, like the balloon animals and stuff, which was super cool.
Oh wow. I just saw
Yeah.
somebody in chat, they said my mom's way of getting my dad to move to the state we live in now is wow.
Yeah, so when I was born, my mom and my dad actually moved to Missouri with my dad's parents. I'm the only one of my siblings born outside of Nevada. And um my mom 2 weeks after I was born was like, "I'm going back to Nevada. You can come with me or you cannot, but I'm leaving." And she didn't know that she was going to be pregnant a few months later because she had my sister, or I think she was pregnant at that time because she had my sister when I was still 10 months old.
Oh wow. And then you just
So,
have that many babies in a row. I just can't even. I can't. I just think already, thank you so much for like the support everybody is here. It really means a lot. I see all of your like donations and stuff. Just know I'm seeing it. I'm just trying to be a professional or what have you.
yeah. Fun for Pie is actually my sister.
Oh really?
She's
Hi.
she's one of my youngest. She lives with my dad still.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's so good to have you. Okay. So all right, so let's get a timeline. So you guys moved back to Missouri or moved to Missouri?
Moved to Missouri. Well, I was born in Missouri, and then we
Okay.
moved back to um Las Vegas when I was like 2 months old.
Okay.
So I don't have any recollection of living in Missouri.
Okay. Wait, so your like dad's career was like trying to be a magician.
He was when I was little, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how did that go? Like did he like actualize that?
He worked at some casinos.
Okay.
Like, he worked at Caesar's Palace, I think, was like the main one that he really enjoyed. But by the time I was like in elementary school, like late elementary school, he started working in IT. That's where like IT really became a big deal. Like, Dell used to like send people to your house to fix your laptop and stuff like that.
Oh my god.
And so he was some of the first like people to do that. So he transitioned to IT.
Hi.
Okay. I forgot I have this Stream Elements alert sounds on. Hi, welcome in guys. Okay, so I'm curious, were your parents around a lot? Like did you spend a lot of time alone? You know, you had your siblings, like how was that?
When I was younger, so my parents divorced when I was like 3. So I went back and forth a lot with, because they instantly, they said the first thing they did when they got divorced is they said they wanted joint custody. Like, they weren't divorcing because they hated each other, they were divorcing because they weren't right for each other. And so they had joint custody of my sister and I. And I remember mostly being at my mom's. And then the biggest issue, like moving and visiting, was whenever my mom moved out of state when I was like 10. Then it became, now I'm like states away from my parents, and that just has been the norm since I was 10.
Wow. So, but there was joint custody, so did you like spend summers in one place, or like how did that work?
when I was little, since they were near each other, it was very much like weekends or just whenever. Like, either one of them would take me to school if they needed to or whatever. There wasn't really like a defined like who had me when. But when I moved out of state, it was they discussed like, okay, well, you had her last Christmas, we're gonna keep her this Christmas. Or like summers we would do, when I was in high school, we used to do 6 weeks. What we would do is my sister, because me and my sister lived in different states by the time I was in high school.
Okay.
So I lived with my dad and she lived with my mom. And so what we'd do is one of us would fly to the other for 6 weeks. 4 weeks into that trip, the other sister would leave to go, like the opposite one would leave to go to the other parent, and then I would fly back 2 weeks later. So we'd get 4 weeks together in each state, but we would get 2 weeks separate from each other with our parents.
Wow. How do you think that affected your like family dynamics? Like in the sense of, you know, time you spent with your siblings, like quality time with your parents.
I feel it affected a lot. I'm one of 11 children total.
Oh my god.
Because of remarriages, and I have 2 step siblings. So like I'm very, very close with my dad's kids more than I am my mom's kids, because I was living with my dad.
Okay.
And so like Danielle was 1 year old when I started high school.
Oh my gosh. That
So-
distance.
And my mom's youngest child now is 10. He turns 10 this year.
Wow.
So like yeah, we have almost a birthday a month. I don't think any of them overlap in months.
That's insane. Oh my gosh.
Oh no. 2 of them do. Cuz we have 2 March babies.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So, we talked about like the reason for the divorce. It was like a mutual thing, which I think is like a best case scenario
Yeah.
as
for
far
sure.
as divorces go. So, we talked about like how they affected you, or it affected you and everything. So, did you notice any changes in your parents, like with their like mental health or like their problems like dating other people?
My dad, the hardest thing for him was I don't think he was ever truly happy in his relationship. Because even growing up, he used to tell me that my first stepmom, I guess, they never got married, but she was like a stepmom. She passed away not long after they broke up. And so he like never could go back. And like he told me when by the time I was an adult, he really believed that was his true love, but it was just there was so much going on that they couldn't be together. Whereas with my mom, she married multiple times, and she deals with, I mean, she has depression, OCD, anxiety, like she deals with that stuff now. And that's been a hard one. I didn't see it as much when I was younger. I saw it more when I became an adult. But I wasn't unaware of it.
Okay. Yeah, because I feel like luckily being young kind of shields us from that awareness of like what's really wrong with our parents, and like seeing it, because you know we see them as these like, oh, they're our caretakers, you know, they don't have problems, and then like the older we get, the more like looking back, it's like, oh wow, there was some stuff going on there. And it might be affecting me now. So what would you say, whatever you feel comfortable talking about, what would you say is like some of the biggest effects on your mental health that from your parents, like directly, like their actions or words or anything like that?
So like something big about with my dad is we grew up poor. So, and I feel like a lot of this stuff goes back to the fact that we just didn't have a lot of money. And so my childhood was a certain way because of that. So one of the issues is we had with food. So, I was really small when I was a kid. Like I was really skinny. I just got that from genetics. But my dad was a finish your plate kind of person. So it became an issue of like I would eat what I could because I needed to finish what was on my plate. He like when I remember when I was about 10 or 11 years old, it was you eat what's on your plate or you eat it for breakfast.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. I fell asleep at the table because I refused to eat it. And so they picked up my plate, took it to the fridge, and when I woke up the next morning for breakfast, that's what they gave me, was the food that I had not eaten.
Wow. I mean, like me personally, growing up, like my mom was always like, we don't waste food in this house, like we don't waste food, you know, but
Mhm.
there was like a conflict because my dad was the same way. He was like, you know, don't get up from the table until you eat this. And so how do you think that affected you?
I definitely have a bad relationship with food. Um, because I also dealt with not gaining a lot of weight, and then when I started gaining weight, then it was, oh, be careful not to gain too much weight. Like, so now my issue is that I will overeat if I like overfill my plate because my eyes are bigger than my stomach.
Mm-hmm.
And that has been a big reason that I've gained a lot of weight. I dealt with a binging eating disorder when I was about 22. That was like the main time that I had it. I'm better now because my husband makes sure that I eat throughout the day. The problem was is I wouldn't eat until like 6 o'clock. That would be like
Yeah.
my first meal, and then it would be my only meal.
So would you just like forget to eat, or was it something you like purposely did?
If I wasn't in school, so I was in college and working, if I was doing school or working, I just wouldn't remember. But if I was at home, like it was a weekend, I would lay in bed and convince myself if I was hungry, I would get up. And then I wouldn't get up until 6 o'clock.
Oof. That
Yeah.
depression hits. It be
Yeah.
hitting.
I was
Huh.
by myself at that point. Like I had no other person around to like check on me and make sure everything was okay or remind me to do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I really thought I could do it all on my own, but I didn't realize like how much I depended on people around me before that happened.
Yeah, that's a mood.
Mhm.
Hyper independence is a trauma response. Fun fact, in case you didn't know. Um, wow, where do we even go from there? Okay, so I'm so glad you have your husband, by the way. That's amazing. I know
It
we've
makes a
talked,
world of difference.
yeah, like we've talked about like how you guys help each other out. So I guess what I'm really interested in, I really want to get to like the meat of it's funny because it's about food, but like how this eating disorder has it like branched out into any other aspects of your life? Is it something that you deal with like on a day-to-day basis, or is it something that just happens like intermittently?
It feels like on a good day, I feel like I don't really pay attention to it. But the problem is there's more bad days than good days.
Really?
So when it was really the biggest part of my life, what would happen is I wouldn't get up. And then I would order. I had like very specific meals that I really like to eat, and so I would order those foods, and then I just wouldn't finish them. So, and I knew I wouldn't. Like I knew that I wasn't gonna finish them, but I would still order it all because I was like, maybe this time I will, or maybe this time like I will want the things I didn't eat last time. And then I would just be really upset because now I have food left over that I'm not going to eat because it's leftovers. And so it'd make me feel bad that I was eating all of this food and not finishing what I'm paying for.
Mm-hmm.
And so then now what happens is Josh is really good about reminding me that I don't need to overeat. And now I
Yeah.
get like texture issues. So if I get too full, I start getting sick at a certain point of
Yeah.
like if I'm eating something that I want to eat, because now it tastes weird in my mouth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have a weird thing
So
about textures too.
now I just
Man.
forget to eat sometimes is the thing. So it's like
Yeah.
hard when I'm home by myself all day during the summers as a teacher because I have to remember to eat lunch, or I might not remember to eat until like 2 or 3 o'clock, and then Josh gets home at 5 and wants to do dinner. And I'm like, oh, well, I just ate 2 hours ago. I'm not hungry.
Yeah. Huh. So, would you say like your relationship with food is like the biggest thing from your childhood, or is there anything else?
I would say that is one of the biggest things, because it's a daily task eating food.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of it also came from like everybody's idea of like what was healthy. So I graduated high school in 2014, and even now being skinny is like in. and what is considered healthy. And when I say I was skinny, I mean I wore like size 2 and zeros
Oh my
in high
God.
school. And
Really?
I was just really small because that's what my genetics were from my mom.
Okay.
But then my junior year of high school, I started gaining weight, but I gained like very little weight. I was still like maybe 120 pounds wet, like. And my aunt, I remember there was a picture posted of me on Facebook when I was in a bikini at the beach, and I was standing kind of sideways so you could see like the tiniest bit of pudge that was on my stomach. And she said there's two main things that poked out. One, she said I would never let somebody post a picture like that of me on Facebook because it makes me look fat.
Oh my God.
And then another thing was I was already dating my husband, and she said, how does Josh feel about you gaining weight?
Oh my God.
I was like, Josh doesn't care.
Wow.
Like,
Having a supportive partner and supportive people in your life really makes a world of difference when it comes to battling mental health issues. And I'm so happy, like from some of the stuff you told me, I'm so happy that you have your husband. I mean, it's good. Yeah, I'm not sure why
Yeah.
family members feel like they have to comment about things like that all the time. It really seems like it's just they're just driving in what was driven into them, you know, like just all the beauty standards, body standards pushed on women. Like it's kind of like it's not a universal experience, but it's definitely like a generational trauma thing. At least that's
Yeah.
what I've observed.
Yep.
Hmm.
I dealt with a lot of, when I first started gaining weight, because they started being like, oh, you need to gain weight because I'm so small. And then after I started gaining weight, it's like, oh, now you're gaining too much weight. And that was like, the eating disorder is like the biggest side effect I've gotten from my depression. That's
Okay.
like the biggest thing.
Are there
Yeah.
any like do you know of any like genetic disorders you might have inherited?
I know my mom is diagnosed with depression, anxiety, and OCD.
Mm-hmm.
My dad, though, he hasn't ever been tested for any of that as far as I'm aware. Like
They never get tested. They just
yeah. My mom did after her stroke because it was a big thing for her
mm-hmm.
medicine that she needed. But with my dad, I wouldn't be surprised if he has depression, but he just hasn't done anything about it.
Yeah.
I think he doesn't want to accept it is the big thing, because it can be hard.
So how does that affect your relationship with your parents?
I've become closer with my mom as I've become an adult, but I feel like when I was first dealing with my depression, it became really hard to acknowledge that I had it, because I
Mm-hmm.
was raised. My dad is the one that raised me in high school, and I was seeing like he was the one that was close to me when I was in college, and so I like looked at how he reacted to things, and since he didn't believe it, it was hard. Um. Oh, my dad's really like he's being a dad is definitely something that's really big for him. That's why like what Fun from High is saying about leaving dad alone, because he loves being with his kids.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the biggest things is that's a difference. And he's single now. He's not married anymore. He got divorced a few years ago. And so that's I think been like one of the biggest hurdles is being alone and having kids. But I don't know, it can be hard. Like I love my dad and he's always been kind of supportive. But like when I was in college and decided I needed to transfer, I was like, I called my parents and was like, I'm gonna drop out for a semester because I need to move back home and it was too late for me to transfer at the time. And my dad's first response was, well, just make sure you finish college. It wasn't, are you okay? What can I do? It's, you need to finish college. Because that was
Yeah.
one of their goals for me was I needed to get a better job than they had.
Mm-hmm.
That I needed to do better in my life than they did. And sometimes I feel like that blocks what I need in the moment, which was him saying, I'm here for you. Let me know what you need. His first response was, don't drop out forever.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I feel like, when you don't take your own emotional needs seriously, how on earth could you take anyone else's, you know?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure because I'm also the oldest, so I have a brother who is 2 months older than me because my dad was a hoe when I was a kid. So
that's awesome.
He knows it. He knows I say that too.
So have either of your parents been to like any kind of extensive therapy or any therapy at all?
My mom has. So when I was in high school, my mom tried to commit suicide, and then a few years later she had a stroke. So she meets with a therapist to get like depression medicine. She takes an OCD med for her to be able to sleep at night because she has insomnia. So like she does. My dad does not, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
I haven't heard about him ever going to therapy, like ever.
So, a funny thing, I just noticed when I asked, like, oh, are there any like big things from your childhood that affected you? You just kind of glossed right over mom's suicide attempt. So, how do you feel about that? How do you think that affected you, my dear?
I was living with my dad when it happened, and the only reason she survived was because somebody knew that she was doing it.
Yeah.
And was able to call the cops. That was the only thing that like saved her.
How did they know? Do you know?
They were this person is not a good person. They very much were like pushing.
Oh my god.
And encouraging. So I don't know what changed to make them like do something, but
yeah,
originally they were like encouraging it.
Yeah, so, just, you know, no big deal, just being like an accessory to murder, whatever.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
And I didn't really know much about it until I was older. So that happened when I was like 14 or 15, so it was like early high school. When I was about 20, that's when I really like learned more about it, and my mom thought it would be a good idea to like give me the letter that she wrote to me at that age.
Oh my god.
Like, she had kept all of the letters, and this was after her stroke, so like she already had another near-death experience, and she thought it would be a good idea to give me the letter to tell me what it is that was important to her at the time, basically.
I feel like, okay, so one thing you did say is like you never thought that your parents like intentionally tried to traumatize you. They didn't like intentionally try to cause you distress. But that sounds really distressing.
It was. And I think she regretted it. I don't remember exactly how I felt this way, but I feel like she regretted doing that. Because I don't think she thought about, you know, me thinking about how I almost lost my mom, because she also had a stroke, which was out of her hands. You know, she didn't force herself to have a stroke, and I saw her almost lose her life to that. So I think she assumed that, oh, you know, her attempted suicide, since she didn't die, wouldn't be so traumatic anymore.
Wow. Okay. How did she like give you any explanation when she gave it to you, or was it just like did she think it would make you guys closer? Like, did she any motivations she talked about?
I don't remember why she changed her mind. I know she told me that the reason she kept them is when she actually did die, she wanted us to have them. And I think at that point I was dealing with, because around 2022 is whenever my depression really was like at its height. And so I think she thought it would help me somehow to like show her, or to show how I'm not the only person that's like dealing with depression, or that she understands, or I don't know exactly. When I say like my parents didn't intentionally do it, I mean like my parents didn't like decide to beat me up one day.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think she handed the letter to me to say like, oh, she's gonna cry over this. You know?
Okay.
That's the kind of unintentional thing I'm thinking of, is that she handed it to me thinking it was gonna help, and then went, oh shit, that wasn't a good idea.
Yeah, so did you do you want to talk about like what was in it if you can, if it's not too much, or like, how it made you feel reading it?
Um, it was a weird feeling because she talked about stuff like she talked about how she was gonna miss seeing me get married and having kids, and she knew that that was important stuff to me as a kid. Like when people wrote down what they wanted to be when they were older, whatever job it was at the time I wanted, plus being a mom and a wife.
Mm-hmm.
So she knew that those were important to me, and so it was a mix of like idea that my mom could have like not been here anymore, and also like, oh, she thought these things were important to see.
Yeah. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you're handling all of these things really well. I feel like all the stuff that you've gone through, I feel like you're handling it pretty well.
I feel like I haven't actually like dealt with any of the trauma all that much.
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Because there's some like other really big stuff that I don't think is good for live stream. Like it would have been more of a off stream kind of podcast thing where you could like edit it.
Mm-hmm.
But because there is intentional trauma that happened that wasn't from my parents.
Okay.
Like trying to think of like if I don't get into detail of it, because I don't want to dive into it too much because I know it can be a lot for people to handle.
Yeah.
So I like when I was 12 to 13 for about a year, I was being sexually abused by my stepdad at the time. My mom didn't know because she worked nights.
Wow.
Yeah.
Another huge thing you just kind of glossed over,
But that one's something I have been dealing with over the years.
Okay, that's good.
So, like even with I haven't really done a lot of therapy with it, but it's been like addressing it in my life. So I swear to God, I feel like if you ever look at my Facebook, it's literally just a Josh worshiping channel. But like even as a teenager, because we dated as teenagers, he was willing to stop having sex when I had flashbacks.
Yeah.
Where I feel like a lot of men, especially at that age, it's not an instant understanding. They'd be like, "Oh, we're already here. Like, why are we stopping?"
Yeah.
And he never questioned because I told him pretty early on after we started, having sex that, hey, this is something I deal with, and you're gonna have to deal with being with me. And there's been times where we've had to stop, and we've been really close, and he's never questioned it.
Yeah.
So I think that's like one of the biggest things is that dealing with those like flashbacks and stuff, it's having a person that understands makes it a lot easier to deal with.
Yeah, because there's definitely people that will make you feel like shit, and you should stay away from those people at all costs.
And it's a very different, like the way I'm talking now versus like if I was in a bad mental spot would be completely different.
Yeah.
Like right now I've been, especially this last week after getting Cookie, I've been feeling really good, and my antidepressants are finally like in the point where they're supposed to start kicking in.
Okay, but can we see Cookie?
Yes.
Is she around? Okay. We gotta see the kitty. Wow. Oh my goodness.
This
sweet
is
baby.
Cookies and Cream. And she is my new kitten. So my in-laws found her on their property, and she's like 9 weeks old. I'm gonna put her down while I put my headset on so I can actually hear you. And the problem is my apartment wanted to charge us like $600 in deposits.
Absolutely not.
Plus pet rent. And I was like, we don't have that much. So I just recently started therapy. So guess who is an emotional support animal?
We love that.
So that way it's free to have her.
Yep. PSA, if you have an animal, and I feel like most of the time, a lot of animals are emotional support animals, and we just don't recognize them like that. But I believe it's Federal Fair Housing Act. If you have a note from a therapist, you do not have to pay any kind of pet fees or anything. So
or any
just
deposits to your apartment.
yeah.
And they can't deny you. Now,
Yeah.
it's one of those, like, if for something happens where they cause a lot of damage and they can prove it, that is an issue that they'll have to address with you.
Yeah.
But they can't say you can't have the animal.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that was one of the biggest movements for Josh and I, because one of the things I deal with is the companionship. So even when I'm working during the school year, for anybody who didn't catch it earlier, I'm a teacher. I get off around 3:30, 3:45. Josh doesn't get off till 5. So even if I came straight home, I'm 5 minutes from my school. I'm here for about 2 hours by myself.
Yeah.
And I realized dealing with people all day, you would think I'd want to be by myself. I don't want to be by myself, at least not all by myself.
Yeah, that's so Twitch is great for that.
Yeah. And my job isn't easy. So I've had days where literally I'll come home, I'll get out of my, clothes that I'm wearing and lay in bed in the dark for 2 hours while I wait for Josh to come home. And that's just what I do. And during the summer, that's a lot of what I've been doing. Now I'm not.
Yeah.
I've been up and I've been doing better, and I've also started being like on calls with friends and stuff when I can, just because I need the companionship. I can't be by myself.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Erin, I don't know if you guys, I don't think you'll be able to hear her because she's so quiet.
She's so sweet, dude. She's so small and tiny.
She is the most precious thing, and she's so smart and she's good. Like, I took her to get her first vet appointment on Sunday, and Monday she still got in the carrier without fighting me.
Oh my god.
Like, most pets would like hate the carrier once they've gone to the vet because they got shots and stuff.
Just literally a scoop of ice cream. Like, look.
I have Kelly is coming to meet me, Kelly's kitties, and she's like saying like that she's gonna steal her, and I'm like, I'm literally not gonna let you leave if I can't find my cat.
Literally, like, that's valid. That's absolutely valid. Wow. So I'm glad that you have, like, so you said you're like on antidepressants and you're in therapy, you got an emotional support animal. That's great. So what were things like before, you started using, like what kind of coping skills did you use in the past versus now?
I just cried and then ignored it.
Yeah.
I really didn't do much. Like, so the reason I started therapy, one of the things that was a driving force was watching you talk so freely about therapy.
Stop,
it really made me feel confident about it. And like, for real though, like, that wasn't like the first thing, but once I started going, okay, maybe I should do therapy, and I was like, you know what, Midnight really like talks about it and it's just like, yeah, whatever. And I was like, then it can't be that bad, you know? And I had done counseling like through my school, but it was, they're students and it can be different when you're talking to like a student versus an actual therapist. So I got with BetterHelp because my, which is not an ad, by the way, but my insurance doesn't cover.
I mean, anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, it helps. I mean, it's a good option. It's not for everybody, but because it's still expensive, but my insurance wouldn't pay for me to see anybody, and the amount I'm paying per month to have 4 sessions, plus I have access to texting, and I actually get my medication free through BetterHelp.
Oh, that's
because
awesome.
They work with Lemonade, which is an online pharmacy.
Whoa, I did not know that. That's so cool.
Yeah. So the stuff that I get that I pay in a month is like what I would pay for 1 session, if not like less than a whole session, basically, with regular therapy, because my insurance does not cover anything.
That's insane. How much do you pay for insurance, if you don't mind me asking?
I pay $91 per paycheck.
Okay.
For all of my insurance. The biggest thing is because I live in Texas.
Almost $400 a month, right?
No, I get paid twice a month.
So, okay.
So about almost $200.
Yeah.
Is what but I also work at a church. For anybody who doesn't know, I'm an undercover bi girl.
We love it. Love to see it.
I work there because my mother-in-law works there, and she is not aware of my actual life.
Oof.
So, like, they don't know I stream. Like, my in-laws do, but they don't watch anything. Like, they have no way of knowing how to get to it.
Yeah.
But like my job doesn't know and almost anything. Because like I could get fired if they found out I watch porn.
Oh my god.
So
I mean, part of me is
about what they cover.
Immediately like, wait, so the insurance is through this church school?
Through the church school.
Okay.
Yeah. And they don't have a coverage plan that covers therapy. Yeah,
no, $200 a month for insurance is like a low end amount. Good. You have to pay, good, yeah. In my experience, you have to pay almost $500 a month to get decent coverage.
Yeah. Well, and that's just for me. Josh is not insured through me. If Josh was insured, it'd be $600.
Oh my god.
Not together. It'd be adding him, and that's per paycheck. So he gets insurance through his job, because his job is more dangerous than mine is, because he works with chemicals.
Yeah.
Their base plan is free, but he pays $18 a paycheck to get the better insurance.
Yeah, so, everyone stay on your parents' insurance for as long as you can if you have it.
Stay on as long as possible.
Oh my
Josh
God.
and I just turned 26 this year, and Josh just turned 25. So we just lost our parents' insurance this last year.
Yeah.
So we just started doing that. But so BetterHelp, I get a discount because I claimed that I'm low income, which I was able to prove. So I paid $288 a month for BetterHelp, which if I was to get rid of BetterHelp and just do my medication through that, or do my medication through Lemonade, I would pay $90 for my because my insurance doesn't cover my medication since I'm not.
What does your insurance cover? What the fuck?
It would cover
disrespectfully
like regular doctor's appointments and stuff. Yes, Blue's Clues. I love Blue's my personality trait. If anybody hasn't been able to tell, I make things my personality trait once I know I like them.
Same.
So one of my fellow streamer and followers sent me that for me to put up, and so yeah.
Wow, I love how we ended up talking about health insurance. like this is
but the reason
Jenny is blue inside.
I had an anxiety attack.
You had an anxiety attack?
Yeah, so when I went to my mom's a few weeks ago to visit her, I had literally probably 2 hours of sleep within 48 hours.
Oh no.
Because of traveling. I was excited to see my mom, and then I had to take her to the hospital because she was having surgery. That's why I was coming to see her.
I remember that. Okay, I remember.
Yeah. And I was like perpetually stuck in like a fight or flight like feeling for hours. And like I was about ready to delete Discord, delete Twitch, like literally just leave everything. I didn't want to. I wanted to quit my job, and I just didn't want to be me anymore.
Oh yeah, I'm so bad at promoting.
You're okay.
Hold on. Jenny. There she is. Wonderful. Thank you, Ash. Okay. Oh my God. Me getting distracted. So what were you saying? I'm sorry.
I talked to Josh and my mom, and my mom was the one that suggested BetterHelp. And I talked to Josh, and he was like, money isn't easy, but it's not tight either. You know? We're very much in a middle ground where we decide if we are willing to be broke because we want something, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we talked about it, and we're like, look, we can handle that much money, especially once I go back to work, because I'm not getting paid through the summer at my job. So, it was worth it, and it helps a lot, because like even just getting my antidepressants makes a big difference.
That's great.
And my therapist also told me about a way to get my certification as a teacher so I can work in public school. It's just going to take a little bit of time.
Yeah. That might be... How do you feel about working at a church school? What is that like?
It definitely hurts my mental health some.
Really?
Because one of the big things is when you are a teacher in public school, you don't talk about your personal religion or your politics views, any of that, right? And at the school, being that it is Christian, they assume everybody has the same views. So you have students showing up in Trump 2020 shirts.
Oh no.
During the 2020 election, because everybody has the same views. we'd have morning devotions just to elementary team. This is a K through 12 school,
Yeah.
but it is separated elementary and secondary a lot. So
Mm-hmm.
we would do morning devotions, which I call myself a progressive Christian. I believe that there's a God,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't believe God hates you for any of the things that you do.
Period.
Like when Jesus said to put God first and love thy neighbor as thyself, I believe those were the 2 commandments we're supposed to follow, and that's how I feel.
Yeah.
Anybody who knows me knows that I just put kindness into everything I can as much as possible.
Yeah. That's an amazing trait to have. A lot of people do not. They do
It's
not.
something I try to spread a lot because I've dealt with a lot of bad things in life.
Yeah.
And so I would rather when I leave people be able to look at me and say she was kind. Like she made me feel welcome where I was or loved or that I was worth it somewhere.
Yeah.
I never want somebody to come to my streams and say I left because she was mean to me, or I would rather them say her content's just not my thing, but she was cool.
Yeah.
You know?
Same. That's a mood.
So, but that's hard at this school because I'm having to try and teach and deal with people in a very strict Christian lining.
Yeah.
We would have morning devotions, and one of a joke that I can give out real quick. I used to text Josh after devotions to let him know whether or not the person who prayed that day said Daddy God. Because legitimately this woman called God Daddy. Like
I can't. Oh my god.
but also
Daddy God.
She would also like randomly talk about stuff like when the Don't Say Gay bill was out, when it was a big deal, which it still is, but when it was first like introduced, she would talk about how we shouldn't be talking about stuff like that with kids anyways, or talking about, she did a prayer once where she randomly started talking about, help the people who are confused about their chromosomes, and like that's the kind of stuff I was dealing with, and most of it I got by just not saying anything because I need the money. This is the only place right now that I can really get the money for, and I try to stress that to people. I'm not here because I agree with these people. I'm here because it's an easy paycheck.
Yeah, and you have to get a certification first, right? Before you can teach anywhere else.
In a public school, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not certified to teach,
but you
because
can
it's a private school, I can.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm just laughing. Somebody said when you aren't allowed to have a daddy kink, but you do. Oh my god. Okay. So
yeah.
were your parents religious? Were your parents religious at all?
So my dad is not. He kind of was when I was growing up, not like we didn't really go to church at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like my dad was also like, I believe in God, but whatever.
Yeah.
He now is not. And then my mom, until I finish, this is gonna sound really like kind of culty. So my nanny was Catholic. My mom is Mormon.
Oh.
But my mom has tattoos, had sex out of marriage, she drinks alcohol. Yeah. Like she's not. That's where I kind of got the idea of God's not mad at you. My mom has always been a big, if my heart's right with God, it doesn't matter what people say I need to do.
Yeah.
And that's how I've always been. I believe the choices I make are because God wants me to be happy,
mm-hmm.
and these are the ones that make me happy.
Has your faith helped you at all with childhood traumas?
It did some. So when my great grandmother passed away, I was actually at a friend's house. We were out on the like porch with my mom and her mom, and they were like talking about what our plans were because I was staying the night to go to church the next day. And my dad called my mom, and so my mom gave me the phone, and he told me that my grandmother passed away. And my mom was like, "Oh, well, you can come home if you want to." And I was like, "No, she would want me to go to church." My grandmother was a religious person. Now, she was still, my family is very much built around progressive Christianity, even in the early thousands. It's kind of crazy. But I knew that she was a religious person, and I knew that she would encourage me to go to church in that moment, if that's what my plan already was. And then when I finally told my mom about the abuse when I was 12 or 13, there was a really convoluted plan for her to try and like get him, because he was in the military, so and he was abusive and just in general. Apparently he was emotionally abusive to her, and she never said anything.
No, that's usually how it goes.
So there was like a convoluted plan of like getting him out of the house, calling the police so that when they showed up at home, the police would show up after, and all of this stuff. And so I was home while she was gone with him, and like I spent probably like an hour just praying. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen, but like, please just get us out of this as much as possible. And I feel like in some situations it's helped, but I'm definitely not like a pray my depression away kind of person.
Yeah. If only it worked that way. Thoughts and prayers to your mental illness.
You know? And so that, I think that's like it's weird telling people I'm Christian, because I feel like the idea of who I am and who Christians are very, very different people.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
but like, I don't have a good word for it. You know what I mean?
So I feel like there's a lot to unpack here. There's a lot to unpack. I'm really trying to wrap my head around. You know, you say you have been through divorce, you're a child of divorce, you know, your parents got remarried, someone that your mom got remarried to sexually abused you. Like, how have you been able to reconcile the things that have happened to you with your parents? Like, have you talked about it? Do you feel anger towards them? Like, oh, you let this happen to me? Or have you unpacked that stuff yet? Or
certain things I've like kind of just ignored or like pushed away. Because our relationship as a whole is pretty good now. So when it comes to the abuse, we haven't talked about it in a long time, but when it came to the sexual abuse, the problem is that by the time I blew the whistle, there was no proof of anything.
Yeah.
It was hearsay and my shoddy memory.
Yeah.
And so we did go through like questioning, but we never made it to trial. So
you did try to pursue it legally?
We did, yes. But since there was no evidence that they could follow, and this was 2009, they just were like, we can't do anything. So he's walking free somewhere.
Yeah.
I have an idea of where he's at, but I try to stay away from seeing him or hearing anything about him, which is hard because my mom has a child with him.
Oh my God.
So it's difficult because sometimes I hear things about him even when I don't want to, because my sister says something or whatever. But
do your other siblings know about this?
Some of them. I don't think Danielle did, but she knows now.
Oh wow. There you go. Thanks for tuning in, babes.
She doesn't have any connection with that person though.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, but both my parents basically went to, we believe something happened. We don't know what happened, but we're here for you. And you know, it came down to the only people that know the truth are me, him, and God, and that's it. Like, at the end of the day, he's the one that's gonna have to deal with it. If God is real, he's the one that's gonna have to deal with it.
Yeah.
So
I feel like you're very composed for everything you've been through. Like, I feel like you got it together. That's impressive.
It's hard.
Yeah. I think you should pat yourself on the back.
Well, and like that was like 10 years ago. Oh no, sorry, I don't know why I think I'm 22. I'm 26. So that's that
Same.
was 13. That was 13 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, so like it's been a while, and you know, I'm aware of possible triggers or like how to respond to it. And I think that's the biggest thing, is just being honest with myself, because I've tried to just ignore my depression. It didn't work.
Yeah, no, that shit comes back for you. It's unforgiving. So some of the stuff you said you pushed away. What do you want to go into that?
Sure. We've already kind of talked about a few of the things that.
Okay.
Like, so for example, I was actually talking to my mom about this recently. Like, when my dad said like don't drop out of school completely, that's something I've kind of just like pushed away and ignored, because again, he wasn't trying to be like I don't care. He was just relaying the thing that he was worried about, which is that I was going to get more depressed and then not be in school.
Okay. I'm fine. It's fine. So they were just maintenance people. I don't
Like, do they need into your room? Or...
I don't know. Like, I went out there and looked, and then they were just leaving. So I was like, okay.
Maybe they were just checking because you were talking about the lease or whatever. Maybe they were just checking.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I handled that already, so that was really weird. Okay. Great first episode things, you know. I mean, they could call me. I don't know. Okay.
I don't know.
Anyways.
But like that, my dad saying that wasn't him, you know, saying he didn't care. He was saying that he cared so much for me to be successful that his worry was I wasn't going to go back to school.
Yeah.
You know?
And not the first, like, oh, hey, I have to take some time off, because they really did just knock and dip. I'm still... Anyway, at least it wasn't some stranger. I don't know.
I mean, kind of.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, I peeked out and looked, and I was like, and they just, like, walked out and didn't even look at me. Like, I don't know whose door they were knocking on. It kind of sounded like they opened my door, but I really couldn't tell.
They definitely opened your door.
You think so?
Opened. I saw it open.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay, anyway. This is great. Okay. I'm really... Okay, here's one thing that I want to ask about. You have talked a little bit about your relationship and, like, your husband dealing with your triggers and everything like that. Do you notice any patterns in your relationships that are similar to your parents?
I dated a lot before I started dating Josh.
Mm-hmm.
So, like when I joke about how calling my dad a hoe, I called myself a kissing hoe when I was in high school because I didn't sleep around. I kissed a lot of people.
Yeah.
So before Josh and I started dating, which was in February of my sophomore year, so my second year of high school, I dated 7 other people.
Okay.
And I only started dating the February of my freshman year. So within a year, I dated 7 people, and one of those was for 9 months.
Okay.
So now we have 6 people in 3 months.
Okay.
Yeah, so I dated a lot. My mom remarried multiple times. My dad dated a lot when I was a kid. And that was the biggest, like, difference. Also, like, self-worth was an issue after my abuse.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So, because I distinctly remember at least one boyfriend I contemplated offering sex so he wouldn't break up with me.
Oh, wow.
And then talk about my mom, get out plan. I also had a get out plan which involved getting pregnant that I'm glad failed. Because I would have like a 10-year-old right now if it had succeeded. I
need to go. I feel like I need to go on a rampage about a child being a get out plan, because this is new. This is a new theory to me. Like, what? I've never heard of this. Like, I've heard of people using kids to, like, trap people. Like, oh, now you're stuck with me. But, like, I don't know. I've never heard of it either, right?
Usually, like, so my mom, it was my dad's old enough, but she wasn't old enough. But if they got pregnant, they would get married, and then she could move out.
Okay.
For me, it was, if I get pregnant, I could choose to go live with my boyfriend at the time and his family instead of my family. because my stepmom was very emotionally abusive,
Mm-hmm.
like in the way that she reacted to things, and that was the tear that happened with my dad and I. That was something he's apologized for since they divorced.
Wow.
So
I'm trying to think. Okay, so here I am being like, my parents are the kind of people, they stayed married. My grandmother doesn't believe in divorce. She waited for my grandfather to die before she got remarried. Like, it was a whole thing. So like my
yeah,
parents stayed together. So I just got traumatized by two people, right? But it's like, thinking about, and not trying to like make a joke out of it, but like really thinking about like these, there are people, kids of divorce, they're exposed to all kinds of different adults that can leave a lasting impact.
yeah,
So, I mean, not only do you have trauma from your parents, but I mean, your step parents. And then,
yeah.
wow.
It's hard because you don't know what kind of people you're welcoming into your life. And so something my mom learned with my ex stepdad is that typically people who abuse children don't in a sexual way don't abuse their own children. They're less likely
Interesting.
to abuse their own children. So even though he had a daughter who lived in the house,
Yeah.
but he chose me over my two sisters, one of which was his and one of which was not.
Wow.
So that's the thing is that it's not that these people are stupid, they're sick.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Absolutely.
he
I mean, they could
unfortunately
be stupid too, but
unfortunately he chose the one that wasn't going to say anything, at least for a
yeah.
while. Because I was raised with you don't say no to authority and that they know what's best for me, and so I just assumed what was happening was okay.
Really?
That was the main thing. At the time I was that age, I was living in a state that didn't have sex ed. My parents didn't really talk about it much with me,
Mm-hmm.
and so my only understanding of what sex was this person was telling me was okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, did you realize it was abuse right away, or did it take you some time?
It took me some time because at first it didn't start out as big as actual sex, if that
Mm-hmm.
makes sense. Like it
Yeah.
was other little things and then it became that, and over time I realized that this is not supposed to be happening. I think people don't realize how naive you can be at 12 years old. And
Yeah.
at 12 years old, I didn't realize that what was happening was not okay for a while.
Mm-hmm.
It went on for about a year, and then he deployed because he was in the army. And after he got back from deployment, I started to have like trauma responses to him being in the house again. He wasn't even doing anything, he was just home.
Yeah.
And that's when I finally decided to tell my mom, because what was happening is I had a phone. I did have a phone. I was on like a minutes phone,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't realize my parents could see if I got on Yahoo Message after
Okay.
hours. So I was messaging a friend because I was having a hard time sleeping, and by messaging them, I was kind of distracting myself, and I would fall asleep eventually.
Mm-hmm.
My parents found out and were able to track that. They weren't able to see what I was typing, but they could see that I was on my phone on Yahoo Messenger at certain times.
Okay.
So I came home from church on a Wednesday night, and my parents were home, and they were supposed to be on a date. My sisters were supposed to be in bed, and they were supposed to be on a date when I came home. And they were like, "We know you've been using this." And I actually had a boyfriend who just moved because his parents were also in the military, and I told them I was talking to him. So my mom left like the room to go to another room and call his mom and be like, "Hey, she's talking to him online after 9 o'clock, and she's not supposed to be doing that." And obviously his mom's like, he doesn't have access to that. That's not true. My mom, believing me, fought with this lady for a few minutes. But then his name is David, by the way. It's just easier to say his name.
Yeah, that's fine.
He kind of like sat down next to me and was like, "I know you're lying." And I just looked at him and said, "I just can't take it anymore. Like, what happened? Like, I'm not happy," and stuff like that. But my mom overheard kind of what was said. So he sent me to my room, said, "Just go to bed. You might have to be grounded for a few days. Like, you might lose your electronics, but your mom and I are going to go out and get drinks. I'll calm her down or whatever." because now he's trying to cover his tracks.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to punish me because he doesn't want me to blow the whistle because he's punishing me for something he did.
Wow.
So I go up to my room. He comes up, he says he's going to talk to my mom and that he's going to leave. My mom makes an excuse that she needs to go to the bathroom upstairs and comes upstairs and asks me what's going on. And what I say is he's cheating on you. Because that's how my brain processed that.
Yeah.
Because he made me believe that he was doing this because he loved me.
Wow.
And that's, I think, the hardest part is that was coming to terms with the fact that just because I thought it was okay doesn't mean that I have something wrong with me.
Yeah.
Just because at that age I thought it was okay doesn't mean that I have a problem. Because now I understand that it was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Can you explain kind of your thought process on how you got from like, you know, there's nothing wrong with this to, you know, this isn't my fault? Like, what did that look like?
There was a conversation I had with my mom while he was gone where I think my sister tried to say that somebody else had done something, but then she came out saying that she was lying, that she had another friend who had said it and they were like, thought it was cool to have trauma. And so my mom sat us down and had a conversation with us about like, if somebody touches you inappropriately, it doesn't matter if it's your dad or David or somebody at school, like you can tell us, be honest. And at that time I didn't say anything because he was gone.
How old were you?
13.
13.
When we had that conversation. It was the summer after he stopped. So he stopped somewhere around like January because he deployed. And then he was gone. So my mom had that conversation in the summer. And when we got to that conversation, I didn't say anything because I was starting to realize that it was bad, but I didn't think I was affected by it. So I just wanted to ignore it.
Yeah, just like it's in the past, it's over with. Don't have to think about it.
But when he came back, he stayed longer than a year. So he came back around like late February. That's when the trauma responses started kicking in.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, this is not okay.
So describe the trauma responses if you can.
I tended to stay in my room a lot. I didn't want to be like around him.
So isolating.
That was the biggest thing, is I was isolating or trying to be away from the house as much as possible.
Yeah.
Like seeing friends or going to church, because I was doing like Wednesday school and Sunday school with a friend, like persistently trying to not be in a room with him basically was the biggest thing. Yeah, those were the biggest like trauma responses. And like I said before, I wasn't really sleeping well, so I was trying to like distract myself in ways that I could fall asleep. And those were the two biggest things. I couldn't sleep very well because I felt like I was having to be on guard because my mom worked night shifts and he worked day shifts because he was in the army.
So he was there at night.
He was there at night. Yeah. And when he came back, he didn't do anything. Like he didn't, you know, he didn't even talk about it.
Yeah.
Which
why would he?
was one of the things that made me feel almost crazy.
Yeah.
About like, you know, that's another thing that's been a really big like even now can be hard sometimes because like my brain will be like, there's no way that actually happened. Like
really,
there's just no way, but it's just not possible for me to make that stuff up, I feel like, either.
Wow. So there was a point where you were genuinely doubting if it happened or not. Wow. The brain is an interesting thing, isn't it?
It is.
What it does. The gymnastics.
The idea that it's here to preserve your body, but also like will play tricks on you is crazy.
Yeah. Okay. Are you forgetting anything else? I feel like there's probably more. Anything? Okay, let me leave it more open-ended. Is there anything that you want to get off your chest? And any story you want to tell, anything you can that'll make you feel better about the situation, about anything, if that makes sense.
Not that I can think of. Have we gone over all the topics on that sheet?
I think so. You know, we talked about the divorce, how it affected you, unintentional trauma, you know, eating disorder, stuff like that. We talked about your parents' mental health, and then we talked about relationships. So, how's your healing process going from all of this?
A lot of some of the big trauma I feel like I haven't actually dove into. That's something I want to do eventually, but I really need to find like a therapist that I can really do that with.
Mm-hmm.
While I like my current therapist, I just don't know if I'm comfortable diving into those traumas with her.
Yeah.
And I'm not currently seeking that, so I'm not, you know what I mean? Like I'm not like I got therapy because of my anxiety was really bad one day.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like when my traumas become overwhelming, that'll probably be when I actually find somebody.
Girl, they're not overwhelming already?
Apparently not. The problem
Okay.
is I have coping, like I'm capable of. I feel like some people when they deal with some of these traumas, if their life isn't doing better in some way, that's where it becomes an issue. So like even like with my eating disorder, we talked about off stream, like I would rather eat the food I like and be fat and be happy that I ate the food instead of being upset that I didn't eat it. My
Mm-hmm.
husband also still loves me and still wants to have sex with me. So I'm like, okay, well obviously I got something going for me.
You have
If
many things going for you, okay? You're a bad bitch. You've been through a lot and you're here talking about it right now. That's pretty fucking cool. So,
So I feel like those are some of the things that make a big difference. There's some people that
yeah.
really honestly don't even think about it. And there are days where I can't. There are days where thinking about it is really hurtful, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm having a good day today. So I can handle talking about
You
them.
can talk about it. Yeah. Hmm. I I would encourage you sooner rather than later. Definitely start unpacking some trauma, okay? Because
Yeah.
I am turning 30 in a week and a half, and I am unpacking 30 years worth of trauma, okay? And I could have started a lot sooner. So the fact that like you're in therapy now, you're like acknowledging all this stuff is happening to you, it's good. Like keep at it. It's one of those things where, and that's what they told me when I first went into like inpatient and everything. They were like, unpacking trauma is gonna be hard and it's gonna take a lot of time, like years, you know? So I don't know. Start sooner rather than later. Unsolicited advice there.
Yeah.
I will say, is there any questions from the audience? Or, yeah, any questions? Is anyone
Somebody did
curious?
ask about your tattoo.
Yeah, do we have the same snake tattoo? The join or die? Because that'd be pretty cool. Let me see. I'll scroll up and see if there's any. I'm still like kind of like, okay, why were there people in my house? But you know, still trying to process that. Yeah, I mean, you know, Daddy God, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
I guess we didn't miss anything.
I mean, she like for real would say stuff like that, and she means it. She's not saying it in
Like
a
a
cute
funny way.
way or a funny way. She means like she views God as her dad and says it in endearment.
That's pretty weird.
Yeah.
Mm. Oh, here's something. So we could talk more about your relationship with your husband. And, you know, you said that he encourages you to create routines and stuff like that. Do you want to talk about how you can, like, ways that you can talk to your partner and, like, communicate your needs like that?
So communication was actually something that was kind of hard at first for Josh and I when we
Mm-hmm.
became adults because most of our relationship was over text message.
Really?
Like in high school, he's a year younger than I am,
Mm-hmm.
and his parents didn't approve of us when I was in high school. So we didn't really see each other a lot outside of the hallway. If we were at a school event that we were both in, like ROTC or choir, anything else was in text message or notes. I still have like literally stacks of notes from when we were in high school. And that's how we communicated. So I remember our first fight in college when he was in college as well. Um, I couldn't fight with him. Like, and fighting is a normal, healthy thing to do. I want to put that out there right now. If anybody needs reassurance, that's a healthy thing to do. So I'm totally okay with saying Josh and I fight because
Mm-hmm.
we're not the same person. We're going to have disagreements.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't fight with him in person. and I got really upset. So I left. I went to my dorm. I sat down in my bathroom, started crying, and then I texted him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we fought. So
It's
at
over
first it was
text.
hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and if that's how you have to do it, then that's how you do it,
Absolutely.
you
Yeah.
know? And that worked for us for a little while, and then once we started getting closer to getting married, it became easier to talk in person. Now, do I still have sometimes where it's hard for me to bring stuff up? Yeah, because it can be hard. I love Josh with everything I am, and I trust him, but I still don't want to stir up things that might not be a good idea. After COVID was hard because we moved into our apartment March 1st, 2020.
Wow. So like right before
2 weeks
everything,
after, yeah, 2 weeks after we got married, we moved into an apartment with another couple, and then
COVID hit.
shutdown happened.
Holy
I didn't
crap.
have a job. Oh, I had a job, but I was working at the school as a teaching aide, so I wasn't teaching anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Josh was not working. We were both in college. He was actually graduating that semester.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
when
that
summer came
sucks.
around, yeah, when summer came around, we started living off our savings.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, we had put a lot of money into savings because his parents were letting me live with them in their in their guest room, but I wasn't having to pay rent or anything. I was only paying for like my phone bill and my car insurance, things that weren't attached to them.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of my paychecks went into our savings. But when it started dwindling, Josh was having a hard time finding a job. His pride was kind of getting in his way of he didn't want to work minimum wage. He
Yeah.
didn't want to work in a place that wasn't with his career.
Mm-hmm.
And I was willing to do whatever I could. I grew up poor. Josh did not. Now his family wasn't
Really?
rich, but they usually were pretty comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we come from very different backgrounds, and I think that's been surprisingly one of the best things because we've mixed very well in our understanding of the world.
Mm-hmm.
So I started door dashing to get some extra money. Um, and Josh was kind of looking for a job, but kind of not. And I got
Yeah.
really upset about it. And I like looked at him one day. I said, "Look, the goal is that you were graduating this year, and I had another year or so in school, and I was supposed to not be working anymore.
Yeah.
But we're getting closer and closer to the school year starting, and I'm still having to work because you're not working."
Mm-hmm.
He ended up working at Jared's because we had a friend who was like, "Hey, they need seasonal people," and they ended up
Yeah.
liking kept him, and he started working in their lab actually for to
Hmm.
like clean and stuff like that on the jewelry. So he didn't do sales anymore, but it was hard at first because I had to sit down and be like, "Look, you need to do something. Like it feels like you're not doing anything,"
Mm-hmm.
and it hurt him as a man who was raised to be the provider for his
Yeah.
wife and someday kids. But I think that's the hardest part sometimes is bringing up stuff that we know is going to hurt somebody else,
Oh, yeah.
you know? And it's gotten easier over the years, but like that was a big deal. And one of the reasons my companionship is so bad is because we were attached at the hip for the
Mm-hmm.
first year,
Yeah.
for months. He went back to work, and for anybody who doesn't know, you can have an addiction to people basically.
Yeah. It's
You can have withdrawal symptoms.
codependency. Yeah.
So Josh left to work, and his first day, I had a massive migraine because I suffer from chronic migraines. I took medicine, ate, drank water, slept, had caffeine, did everything that almost anybody else would do,
Mm-hmm.
would not go away. He came home, and 2 hours later, my migraine was gone.
Yeah. That's insane. Do we
Yeah,
even know what causes migraines?
not really.
Hmm.
My chronic migraines, they told when I started getting them when I started college, and they said, "Oh, that just happens to girls your age when they start college, they just start getting migraines." And they said either they're like, "We have no reason to know, like we have no way of knowing why." And they said you might graduate and never have a migraine again, or you're just going to deal with it for the rest of your life.
Oh,
And that was
wonderful.
it.
Great.
Yeah. So,
Oh my gosh. Also, welcome in, friend. Grunky. Good to see you. So I'm gathering that your childhood trauma has affected you a lot.
mhm.
And it's something you deal with definitely day to day.
Oh yeah.
Um, do you have any advice for people that might be going through the same things? And what would you tell them, or what would you tell yourself if you could look back?
What I if I was specifically to go back to myself,
Mm-hmm.
I would tell her it's gonna be okay, that the things I'm going through are gonna get me where I need to be. Um, but that's only what I would say to myself because I know where I'm at now, you
Yeah.
know?
I mean, like,
When
so what
it's
about like when like the any kind of abuse was happening? Like, what would you tell yourself?
it's hard because
Yeah.
it really would just come down to this is gonna get me where I need to be. Because by telling my mom that my stepdad was abusing me, my dad found out. My dad, who was trying to give up drugs, decided I really need to like try to stop.
Get it together,
He
yeah.
moved he moved from Las Vegas to Texas, and I moved
Really?
to Texas, and that's how I met Josh,
Okay.
and now I'm here.
Yeah.
You know? Even, like, it's kinda some people think I think would look at it and say it's kinda sad because even streaming is something I can relay back to the fact that I met Josh. He's a big gamer and I wasn't. I started playing games to have something for us to have in common,
Mhm.
and now I'm the one that's streaming,
Yeah.
you know? So, I don't know if I would have gotten here by any other means,
Mhm.
you know?
Interesting. I just hope that you don't think like, like, oh, the abuse happened for like a reason and you know what I mean? Like,
No, I try not to do that. Like,
yeah.
I think that's the biggest difference is I try not to be like, "It happened for a reason," but I would encourage my younger self that when it's over, it's gonna be worth it where you're at. Like, not worth it. Like, when I get to where I'm going I wasn't happy when I first moved to Texas.
Mhm. Okay.
And so, like, moving to Texas was something I became happy about because of what I gained out of moving to Texas.
Yeah.
Like, I would look at myself and say, you'll be happier." Like, there are things that are gonna happen that you're gonna be happy about. I don't know, it's hard to explain because I don't want it to sound like I'm saying it happened for a reason.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I get from it because you're just like, well, you're gonna get to where you need to be, but
Mhm,
I think you've gotten to where you are despite, the things that have happened. So,
mhm,
I don't know. Food for thought.
yeah.
But I think, let's see, we're almost at an hour and a half. Wow, we did that. Um,
Only one hiccup of some random people in your house,
I know. Oh my
but
God. That's like, of course that would happen on episode one, right? Like, of
right.
course it would. Ugh.
I told you I was fine with being a guinea pig.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've definitely learned a lot of things. Like, I have to remember to turn alert sounds off. It was
I
cute
would still
though.
have a visual. If you have visual, I would still do that, but I would have,
Mm-hmm.
like, the sound off.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
need to do that. Um, Thank you everyone so much for like being here, the people that like, were active in chat. It's hard for me to focus on more than one thing at once, but like I was reading your messages. Happy International Non-Binary People's Day.
That's so
I
awesome.
love that. Random shit should happen the first time of anything. You're right, you're right.
Yeah. Also, I do love the overlay. It is very cute the way you set it
Thank
up.
you. Yeah, it's very midnight vibe, I think. You both did awesome.
Mhm.
Thank you, Munchie. Thank you guys so much for being here. I really, really appreciate it. And Jenny, thank you so much for like coming and sharing your experience. I hope that you keep, you know, keep strong
Mhm.
on your healing journey and
Yeah.
find a trauma therapist immediately.
I think my main thing is I think it's important to have these conversations just in
Yeah.
general. I know that some people can't handle it, but like even over on when I do my stream it's I still talk about stuff that's going on in the world,
Mm-hmm.
but I try not to dwell on those things cuz people
Yeah.
need a place to talk about it and I would rather talk about it,
Yeah.
you know.
Oh, thank you for the shout out, Cyber.
Thank you. Somebody followed me earlier. I don't know who it was
I
cuz
think it was Jay. Jay
I think
Game.
so. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
If you're not following Jenny, follow this lovely, amazing human being who is one of the strongest babes I've ever met. Like, hands down. I mean, you just talked about like some really heavy stuff and like, you know, you went through that and you're like on the other side of it. So I think maybe, give yourself some credit
Mhm.
for sure.
I try.
Yeah, no, you're doing great. I just I am curious how if you wanna talk about how your therapy is going.
It's going okay, I would say, because they matched me up with somebody that's in Texas, so it can be hard because sometimes she kinda starts leaning more into religion.
Mm,
So so to just put it in perspective, something I talked to Josh about is, um, I would say when my discount that I'm getting through BetterHelp is because they did give me a discount for being low income, and
mhm,
I could reapply, but like I said, it's $90 if I was to get my medication. That's a month
yeah,
for if I just went through Lemonade. So I told Josh, since I'm doing really good and a lot of my sessions after the first 2 have been life's good, um, sessions, you know what I mean?
mhm,
That I might put therapy on hold and just focus on my medication and my own coping skills that I have already. And the great thing about BetterHelp is that it's always there. So,
mhm,
like, if I need to go back to therapy, I can go back, but not spend almost $300 a month just to meet with somebody for 30 minutes once a week and say, "Yeah, life's good.
yeah.
Here's my new cat." Um, like
Yeah, that's, like, one of the biggest issues, is affordability because a lot of people really wanna get help, and it's just
Mhm.
financially, it's not viable.
Yeah.
And even with things like BetterHelp, it's just
It's a good option, but it's not perfect, that's
yeah,
still $300 that Josh and I are having to put into,
mhm,
you know, and it's I've gained some stuff, so, like, I found out about an alternative license for teaching, so I'm able to get my license without not working,
mhm,
and I don't it's not a traditional school setting, and then I also was able to get Cookie and have,
mhm,
an animal that I've been wanting to have for a while. I've been wanting to have an actual animal in my home
yeah.
for a while, and so there has been some good out of it that I appreciate,
It's a
but
lot of
at the end
good.
of the day, it's like
Yeah,
some sessions are just literally just me talking about how, "Oh, it's been good this week," or talking about, like, how Kelly's coming out, my mom's
mhm,
taking me to Hawaii at the end of the month,
that's so
like,
cool.
things that I'm looking forward to,
Mhm,
and that's and less about trauma or how I'm feeling because it's not right now, I'm doing good, like, I'm not in a bad place right now,
yeah,
so, you know what I mean?
mhm. Also, I just don't know if 30 minutes is enough. Someone did ask what kinda games you stream.
I stream consistently, I stream Toontown.
Toontown.
I like playing games like Sims and Stardew, Zelda games. Like I play a variety of different games, but you can always be guaranteed that I play Toontown.
Jenny also has, like, a viral TikTok from playing The Sims, by the way.
Oh my gosh.
That's good.
It's so I'm on TikTok as well under the same name and it I gained probably like 1,000 followers like in less than
From
48
that?
hours from that video.
That's awesome.
And what it is that I didn't know that Sims could have sex in a dumpster.
How
Okay?
could you know that until you see it?
Yes, I love Zelda games, and just as a shameless plug, when the new Zelda Breath of the Wild comes out, that will be my stream. That's
Yeah,
literally like I will
that's
probably play
it.
Toontown on Tuesdays like I always do, because that's where most of my followers come from, but I will
Mhm.
be playing that Zelda game all the time.
Do you know
Legend of
when it
Zelda Breath
comes
of the
out?
Wild, it's early next year is what they said.
Okay, okay.
If they don't push it again. But when Breath of the Wild came out, that's the game that I, credit becoming a gamer too. Like, I played some
Really?
games growing up, but that's the game that really got me into gaming, and because of the way the Switch is, I love the motion control on the Switch, and I don't know if you've played Breath of the Wild,
Mhm.
but, like, when it with the pictures, you can move the Switch to take pictures. I legitimately remember being so tired one morning when I woke up, I was walking to class and I saw a bird and I was like, "Oh, I gotta take a picture of that bird." 'Cause I've been playing Zelda so much. I was like, "I gotta get a picture of the bird."
Wow. Wow.
So that is, like, the I still have a copy of the game because I refuse to get rid of that game
Yeah, why would
because
you?
well, because Josh and I are really big about, like, recycling our games, like, when we want
Mhm.
a new game, if we have games we haven't played in a while, we'll sell them back to GameStop to try and get the game for free, basically.
Yeah.
But I refuse to get rid of that game.
Yeah, you
Like,
gotta hold on to it. It's a good one. It's a good one. I feel like the replay value is really high too.
yeah. But I that one's a good game. There was something we were talking about a second ago and I lost it.
I know. The ADHD of it all. Wait, I just realized the music stopped. Really?
If I would have known, I would have told you, but I'm not listening to the actual stream, so.
Also, for some reason, if I bring something up over the Discord call, it like freezes. Why does it do
That's
that?
weird.
Yeah. I don't understand how technology works. Wait, you ordered Breath of the Wild? Wait, they canceled your order? That is rude. What? Oh my god.
I
would
love
be
the game though.
devastated.
That was one of the first games I played when I started streaming. But the problem is that I'm like, I know the game so much that it didn't feel like a genuine like searching for things. Like I felt like I was just trying to like be like, how fast can I finish the game? But I'm
I
not a
know.
speedrunner either.
I hate that. I do the same thing. I'm like, oh, I gotta like power through this. Like, no, just enjoy it. Like, I have to make myself enjoy stuff.
Yeah.
So
I try not to be like super. That's one of the reasons I like Toontown, because it's not. It has tasks for you to follow, but you don't have to follow those tasks as closely. Or there's people that also need that same tasks.
Okay.
So that's what I do.
There are 2 people in chat that have never played a Zelda game, and I need you guys to fix that.
Yeah, play something.
You have to. They're so good. I don't know. I just kind of like the music. Okay, there's 3
Kelly,
people in chat. There's 3 people in chat who have not played Zelda. No, you can blame Walmart, Munchie. Absolutely.
Okay, I won't shame anybody for like the thing is I didn't really play Zelda games until I played Breath of the Wild. I'm a very late bloomer gamer because I've played some other games now. Like I've now played some of them. But okay, Fun for Pie, I'm gonna fix that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I can't believe there's so many not Zelda players in chat right now. I'm appalled.
Want a funny story from one of my Zelda games? I played Skyward Sword on stream when it was remastered. I hate spiders. Hate spiders.
Yeah, no, they're the worst.
There's a clip that I had to go and get Josh because I started crying because a spider that I didn't see its shadow fell from the ceiling and scared the shit out of me.
It made you cry.
I literally had to go and get Josh, and I was like, I need you to kill this spider. I don't know what to do. And I'm like,
oh my god.
Like,
oh,
Kelly, Kelly.
Thank you for gifting a sub. I would have to say Ocarina of Time is definitely the top Zelda game for me. 100%.
I haven't played all of them, so it's hard for me to decide. I think Breath of the Wild just has a special place in my heart.
No, it's amazing. It's like Skyrim Zelda.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. I love that. You know what? Maybe at the end of every episode, we'll talk about video games as like a palate cleanser for all of the like really heavy stuff that we talked about.
So my Switch, I actually have the Animal Crossing Switch.
Ooh.
So if you remember, Animal Crossing came out as COVID started.
Oh yeah.
So it was supposed to come out March 20th. The only reason I remember that date is because it's the day after Josh's birthday. On Josh's birthday, we're at his parents' house. And I get a call from my roommate, Tori, who works at GameStop. And she's like, hey, we don't know if we're going to be open tomorrow because of this whole COVID thing. So we're calling people to let them know they can come pick up their game early. So we had only ordered one Animal Crossing. I didn't even realize we'd really ordered it. Josh apparently had showed me the ad for it and everything, and I was like, okay, cool, whatever. Like he would tell me all the time, like, hey, I'm pre-ordering this game, and I'm like, okay, cool. And so we started playing it, and I loved it so much. Luckily, they were open the next day, so we went and bought a second copy because we both had a Switch. Because I had moved away when the first Switch first came out. He had got one for his birthday, and he let me use his. But when we graduated junior college and went to different universities, they had just done another drop, so I went and bought myself a Switch.
Wow, so you guys went to different schools? Was it like far away or?
It was about 5 hours.
Wow, how did you handle that?
not well. That's when I got depressed.
Yeah, not well. I mean, I can't believe you guys have you've stayed together through all of that though. That's awesome.
I think I actually told you or somebody else, like, the only thing I can describe is that he has to be my soulmate.
Yeah.
Like, there's no other thing I could say to be like how we got here. Like, there's no like secret of like, you know, people are like, oh, the main thing is communication. You can communicate with anybody and still hate them at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's true.
You know? So I had a regular Switch. I just had a regular Switch. And I went to my mom's a few months ago. Who's calling me? Private number. So my Switch stopped working for some reason. Like,
Tragic.
just like stopped. So I had been trying to convince Josh to let me buy an Animal Crossing Switch for like months already. It was an expense I didn't. It's one of those. I will suggest big purchases, especially if you're married. Talk about it. Even if you have your own money, don't spend that much money on one thing. $300 on a Switch when we both already had Switches was not something I could validate buying without asking.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So I was trying to convince him, and all of a sudden my Switch is not working. So I was like, "Can I please?" And I even Googled it. I was like, "I'm at my mom's in Las Vegas." I'm like, "Mom," I was like, "There's one next to me. Like, there's a GameStop near me. I could go get one. They have it." And he goes, "Maybe when you get back, when I get paid next or whatever." And I was like, "Okay, fine." So I was gonna have to be without my Switch for like a week and a half.
Oh God.
Which I was mad about.
Tragic.
So then my Switch starts working.
Okay.
Like a few hours later, for some reason, it starts
What was
working
wrong
again.
with it? Do you
I
know?
don't know. I have no idea. I
Weird.
think like it was just that. I think it had died, and it was just that it needed like a reset or something. But so I tell Josh, I was like, "Oh no, my Switch started working," because I was like so excited to get the Animal Crossing one. And he goes, "Well, I guess I jumped the gun." And then he sends me a picture from the couch. He had bought the Animal Crossing one.
Aww.
So when I would come home, it was there.
That's so sweet. What?
So, but I feel like I should go get my Switch so I could tell you
Do
how
it.
many hours I've spent.
Hell yeah. Let's see it. Let's see it. Oh my gosh. I love this. Right? I am going to be single for the rest of my life by choice. But it's nice to see super cute couples together. Like, it fills my heart with joy.
Came out, like I said, and I got a second Switch. I would spend every single day hours on there. That's actually how I met Dawn. We met through
Animal Crossing?
Discord. Yeah. Where we joined for Animal Crossing.
Just get an OLED Switch. At this point, it's like, why even get the Animal Crossing? Just get the OLED and put little Animal Crossing stickers on it. Like,
so,
look at this. You can just...
So, considering that, I've never restarted my island. I have I've never restarted.
What?
I have 4 characters on the island. I have specially picked all cats on my island, and I've decorated it, done all the updates. So I would love to see who wants to guess my hours.
I'm gonna say at least over 1,000. That's my guess.
My fave villager is Cat.
Cat? Oh, Cat's a cutie. You almost never play handheld? I mean, me neither, but it still, like, has a better processor and... I swear the Joy-Cons with the OLED are a different breed. Like, they stay charged for so long.
Oh, really?
Yes, I don't know what it is. Okay, Munchie guessed 1,500, alright.
So on this Switch, just to give an idea of my other games, I've played Legend of Zelda, the main Legend of Zelda 3 times.
Okay.
I've played it like 1.5 times on this Switch.
1.5?
Finished the whole... That was 190 hours or more.
Oh, wow.
The only other game I played more time is Minecraft, which is 390 hours because I played with Josh a lot.
Okay.
My Animal Crossing hours is 1,215 or more on a single island. And that's just my main account.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for being here, Ash. Thank you.
Thank you.
So appreciate the
support.
support.
Let me pull out a calculator.
Let's add them up. Let's add the numbers up.
Because I have 4 accounts that all have houses that I've fully decorated and themed. 50 hours on another, 55 hours on another account.
That's insane. Now I want to check mine. What are mine? Wait, where are my Joy-Cons?
Already on another one.
Like, I literally... Like, I heard the knocking, but it sounded like it was at the front door because of these are noise-canceling headphones. I'm still thinking about it.
8,000 hours.
8,000?
So no, that's somebody's guess.
Oh.
Adding all of my characters together is 1,355.
Oh, wow. Okay, let me look at my hours.
Very little of that is me just on the Switch. Like, these are active playing hours.
So for Animal Crossing, I have 920 hours, and I have had so many islands I can't even count. Skyrim, 130 hours. Stardew, 90 hours. And that's just on Switch. Like, I have these games. Like, I have Stardew on PC, too. And Skyrim on PC. Dude. Now I just want to play games. Full circle. My Switch isn't even plugged in. It's just sitting there. I don't even have my capture card or anything.
Yeah, I was really weird about how, like, I didn't like the idea of a lot of things being outside. Like, certain, like, setups being outside. And I thought it was really cool how some people made it look like it wasn't outside, but I couldn't do that. Like, I'm not... Terraforming and stuff is not my strong suit.
Yeah.
So I have 4 houses. I have a regular house that my character lives in. Then I have my second house, which is a university. It is called Honeysuckle University. It is all...
That's so cute.
Like, college themed.
Aww.
I even have a jersey that Dawn made that people could get, like, in my shop. And then I have my third house was the wedding series. So, like, it's all, like, it has a wedding reception, the ceremony, it has a get ready room, it has like a spa and a hotel room. Like, it's all wedding, like, all inclusive wedding house, basically. And then my last house is called a kid-sino. So instead of a casino, it's a kid-sino because it has an arcade.
Ooh.
But, like, when you walk in, it has, like, the marble statues, and then there's, like, a mob room and like an outside garden and a restaurant, and then I have, like, an arcade downstairs with all of the different games.
Do you have a dream address?
I do. I don't know what it is, but I can...
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, if you want, you can post it in the Discord.
I think you can pull it up on the... I think I can pull it up on my Nintendo account on my phone, actually.
You only restarted in City Folk and you immediately regretted it and cried?
I couldn't get myself to restart. I restarted Josh's island because he stopped playing and he was cool with it. But then I couldn't get into the beginning of the game again.
Yeah. It's like one of those things you have to do, like, obsessively.
Yeah.
To get through it. I can speedrun Animal Crossing very well.
I wish I could relive beginning the way I lived it in the first place. Like,
me too. Oh my god, it was so good. I remember I literally just planted flowers for, like, 3 days straight. I was like, oh, look at all the pretty flowers. Like, 3 actual days. And then I, like, moved it. I, like, put a bunch of inclines and bridges where everything is. And then I beat the game and unlocked terraforming. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? You can terraform in this game? Like, what? I can change everything?
Oh, yeah. And I also made my game super, like, accessible. So, like, my dream is that people go there and take a bunch of pictures. So, like, they can get to every couch and chair, and, like, they can be anywhere in the room that they want to be. So, especially when they added scooting, like, where you can, like, scoot by things.
Yeah.
Made a world of a difference for my island, because I really wanted it to be completely accessible to people to be anywhere they wanted to be in my island.
That's awesome. Well, now I just want to play Animal Crossing.
Do you have an Animal Crossing section on Discord?
I need to make one. Let's see.
It does not look like it, no.
I had one in my old one. This is a lot. I have a lot of categories in here. Okay, let me make create channel. And then I'll create, wait, where'd it go? Hello? I literally just created a channel and now I can't find it. Did it work? Oh my god. Oh wait, here it is. Just kidding. I found it. Okay. I just made a gaming channel. I'm gonna change this to Animal Crossing. You can just put it in there. I'll just like do it when I'm not like live on stream. Yeah. I think this went well. Thank you so much for being on here. It was good.
Of course.
I gotta figure out like a better way to like deal with the chat thing, you know, because I found myself like distracted, like trying to read both and then like actively listen and come up with like intelligent questions to ask. So
I feel like it went really well, and like you could ask. I feel it sounds like the audience was doing good because Kelly even said like the music wasn't needed because there's not really a quiet moment.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, okay, so I'm gonna end this VOD just for like editing purposes. But if you want, are we gonna hop back into the group thing?
I probably will, yeah.
Okay, all right.
If they're still there.
Yeah, okay. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you, Jenny. And I will see you guys next time. Thank you for tuning in. Bye.
Bye.